Order, honorable members. Order.
Thank you. Thank you very much, honorable members. Honorable Speaker, Your Excellency, President of the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Cyril Ramaphosa, Honorable Ministers and Deputy Ministers, Honorable Members of the National Assembly, I would like to reflect briefly on the social and political context in which we are delivering this budget vote today. Honorable House Chair, this year marks the formation of the Union of South Africa 113 years ago, exactly on this day. It also marks 110th anniversary of the 1913 Land Act, which displaced our people from their land and excluded them from the economy. Honorable House Chair, we are on the cusp of 30 years of freedom and democracy, and nearly 3 decades since the adoption of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. During this period, we have demonstrated our commitment to the principles of the Constitution by, amongst others, ensuring that we hold free and fair elections, adhering to the rule of law, building credible and innovative democratic institutions, and a concerted effort to change the lives of our people for the better. As we reflect on these milestones, we should acknowledge the challenges that lie ahead to better eradicate and rededicate ourselves to the ideals of the South Africa we have envisaged in the Constitution. Similarly, House Chair, we acknowledge the role of heroes and heroines who contributed to our struggle for freedom, and millions of ordinary men and women who continue to work tirelessly to realize the South Africa of our dreams. In particular, we recall the role of the 3 important generations, starting with the 1976 student uprising generation, which went to play a critical role in rendering the apartheid system ungovernable. This generation inspired the formation of the Congress of South African Students, COSAS, whose 44th anniversary we are celebrating today. COSAS would go on to play an integral role in the United Democratic Front, which was founded 40 years ago in Mitchell's Plain here in Cape Town. House Chair, the endurance of these generations in the face of injustice laid the foundations for a democratic South Africa. Honorable House Chair, despite the entrenched colonial and apartheid system, we have made significant gains as a nation. In this regard, I would like to report on the following areas of government responsibility: governance, state capacity and institutional development, justice, crime prevention, and security. Furthermore, to look at government business in Parliament. We will also outline a roadmap of elevated priorities for the remainder of the term of the 6th administration. Specifically, in the next 6 to 12 months, we are going to implement rapid response interventions on service delivery and troubleshooting in service delivery hotspots. As the President indicated in his address, We are here to outline what we have done in realizing our mandate as given by our people in 2019 to grow South Africa together in line with our long-standing commitment to building a better life for all. Working with all spheres of government, we are continuing to strengthen the rollout of the District Development Model, DDM, through effective coordination of the different spheres of government, which will improve the functioning of municipalities and address community concerns. House Chair, we have been engaging with critical stakeholders to improve coordination and mobilization in support of service delivery measures in municipalities and districts. This includes consultation with traditional leaders on the implementation of government programs aimed at accelerating service delivery. We are also strengthening partnerships with business, labor, and government to source critical skills required by the economy and the state through what we call the Human Resource Development Council. We had a meeting recently, House Chair, in KZN of the Human Resource Development Council. House Chair, the work done over the medium-term expenditure framework period will contribute towards the 30-year review report of democratic governance, which will be released in 2024. Our country has registered progress in areas of electricity delivery, healthcare, infrastructure development, cushioning the indigents, the provision of basic water, housing, and improvement in literacy. More than 85% of South Africans have their homes electrified. Over 5.7 million people are on treatment for HIV. 2 trillion rands has been invested in national infrastructure projects over 10 years. Over 18 million South Africans benefit from social grants. 90% of South Africans have access to clean drinkable water. Over 14 million people have benefited from the 3.2 million free houses that were built since 1994. Also, House Chair, 95% of South Africans can read and write. I think we should emphasize that. We are aware of and working tirelessly to solve problems of electricity generation, water provision, and infrastructure, amongst others. And I'm sure Minister Ramokgopa will talk about this later on electricity. House Chair, we will equally be engaging various sectors of society on their lived experiences and provide reflections on government's performance over the last 30 years. The government accepts criticism because, as a nation, we have divergent views and believe in the principle that everyone must be heard so that we can forge ahead with our task of nation building, building of a better South Africa as envisaged in our Constitution. Honorable House Chair, the State of Local Government Report of 2023 has presented a challenging picture with regard to service delivery across the country. Overall, municipalities suffer from, amongst others, the following: poor capacity of existing infrastructure to meet current needs and future needs of the community, neglect of maintenance and or poor operational management of existing infrastructure, lack of internal capacity in the form of technical and managerial skills, weak work processes and governance processes for planning, delivery, operating, and maintaining infrastructure, insufficient funding, as well as poor management practices that are rendered by municipalities.
Honorable Deputy President, may I just remind the NA table and ICT that they must neutralize those members who switch on their microphones. It doesn't assist us in this debate. Honorable Deputy President, it seems to me the honorable member is persistent.
Yeah,
Please continue, Honorable Deputy President.
I'll be happy if they can be neutralized. Honorable House Chair, I was saying that insufficient funding as well as poor financial management practices does render municipalities unsustainable. But House Chair, we have not only acknowledged these challenges in local government. Central to the responsibilities of the Deputy President, as delegated by the President, is to enforce one plan integration across government through the district development model. It is the whole of government approach. It is the maximization of resources through the district development model and the service delivery response, rapid response approach. We have been working to ensure that we have one plan that is measurable, implementable, and citizen-focused. So in short, House Chair, I'm saying, kuyasetshenzwa. House Chair, over the last 2 months, I visited Gauteng, Free State, KwaZulu-Natal, and the Eastern Cape to help resolve service delivery problems. In all the 6 districts and metros where we undertook oversight visits, we received reports on how government is working together to address service delivery challenges and progress made in the adoption of one plans. We are pleased that good work is being done. However, there is a need to strengthen partnership to improve service delivery. So we have decided, House Chair, that we'll continue to monitor progress, but we will be returning to all those provinces. We are committed to building a stable democracy that works for all people. That is why, in response to unstable coalition governments, especially in municipalities, we have proposed to convene dialogue on the coalition governments. The intention is to reach consensus on the principles of coalition governments and to ensure that we continue to build strong, stable democracy for our country. As we said before, engaging the development of a coherent framework for coalition government is part of nation-building project. This will lay the basis for legislation that will pass later this year. Honorable House Chair, our work through the South African National AIDS Council, SANAC, is bearing fruit. Together as government, civil society, private sector, labor and development partners, we are on track in mitigating the impact of dual epidemics of HIV/AIDS and tuberculosis. The implementation of the National Strategic Plan for HIV, tuberculosis, and sexually transmitted infection 2017 to 2022 has had a positive impact on combating HIV and AIDS in the last 5 years. House Chair, a special focus has now been given to accelerating prevention to reduce new infections of HIV, TB, and sexually transmitted infections, providing treatment to reduce illness and mortality, as well as reaching all key and vulnerable populations with interventions and leaving no one behind. It is for this reason that SANAC has been holding a series of engagements with civil society, interfaith leaders, traditional healthcare practitioners, and the private sector on the particular subject of addressing structural barriers and social determinants of the spread of HIV and AIDS. The new iteration of the National Strategic Plan for HIV, TB, and STIs for the period 2023 to 2028 will build on the success of the previous NSP by way of maintaining the multi-sectoral, people-centered approach to eliminate HIV/AIDS, TB, STIs as public health threats by 2030. Honorable House Chair, land reform remains a key programmatic response to effecting restorative justice and transforming the colonial and apartheid spatial planning. We will continue to fast-track the land reform agenda as it relates to the access and the beneficial use of land. The land reform program is also aimed at empowering beneficiaries, including rural communities. The success of our work depends on investing in a capable, ethical, and developmental state that has the capacity to redirect capital and resource towards development that has no tolerance for corruption. In realizing our commitment, we have embarked on a process to review career management of Director Generals, heads of department, with a view to place emphasis on outcomes. Secondly, we are moving with speed to institutionalize the professionalization of the public service, including having ethical leadership and meritocracy as a cornerstone of our administration. Honorable House Chair, as leader of government business in Parliament, I will continue to monitor and strengthen executive accountability to Parliament. And central to this responsibility is ensuring that ministers of the executive attend to their parliamentary responsibilities by appearing before portfolio committees and responding to questions for both oral and written reply within stipulated timeframes. Linked to our role in monitoring executive accountability is a development of a realistic legislative program with priority bills. In April of this year, we submitted the 2023 legislative program as approved by Cabinet for introduction to Parliament. Cabinet ministers have also been requested to identify priority bills in line with government priorities to be introduced before Parliament, before the end of this administration. Through our continuous engagements with presiding officers of Parliament, we will continue to fast-track and monitor the processing of priority legislation that will improve the planning capacity of line departments to effectively deliver on our priorities. Honorable House Chair, one of the key priorities we are seized with is to promote social cohesion and nation building. In this regard, as government, we continue to conduct a series of engagements with various partners, including traditional leaders, traditional health practitioners, military veterans, faith-based organizations, labor, and the private sector. We have been engaging with the National House of Traditional and Khoisan leaders to tackle challenges such as the safety of traditional leaders in our country. We have also agreed to work with traditional leaders focused on the following, amongst others: uniformity and standardization in terms of treatment of traditional leaders, speedy finalization of the handbook for traditional and Khoisan leaders, particularly to ensure that we can regulate the provision of the tools of trade for traditional and Khoisan leaders, improve the remuneration of traditional and Khoisan leaders, construction of chambers for provincial houses that do not have those. The state is also to release back land to the custody of traditional leaders and their communities. And lastly, to review the Spatial Planning and Land Use Management Act. We will, House Chair, continue to engage and report to the House on the work of the Interministerial Task Team to further strengthen our partnership and address matters of concern to the institution of traditional leadership. Honorable House Chair, at this stage, we must acknowledge the role played by all social partners and individuals at different levels in responding to various societal challenges that confront us as a country, including disaster relief and community upliftment efforts. We have no country other than the Republic of South Africa. In our diversity, which in itself is our strength, we must continue to work towards a common goal of a non-racist, non-sexist, and prosperous nation. Our continent required peace, growth, and prosperity. It is for this reason that we will accelerate peace efforts in South Sudan, the Great Lakes, Central Africa, the Horn of Africa, and the rest of the continent. House Chair, the socioeconomic opportunities of our continent will be realized through the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. Equally, we will continue to advocate for a world and a global community based on the principles that all people are created equal and deserve equal opportunities, an instrument to realize their full potential. We will continue to advocate for resolution of all conflicts through peaceful means, including in Russia and Ukraine conflict. Honorable House Chair, we are addressing all these factors that impede implementation, including at local and departmental government capacity. We are dealing with problems of red tape, governance, poor contract management, long-term or long turnaround times to implement decisions, and also corruption. We are equally monitoring underspending, fiscal dumping, and the quality of expenditure. Implement decisions around insourcing, especially on maintenance, standardization, the decision on manufacturing, for instance, of paving bricks for roads and other options. Honorable House Chair, as I conclude, we are going to strengthen good governance by building up capacities for implementation, ensuring ethical processes, and addressing the challenges of construction, mafias, criminality, and corruptions which lead to under-delivery. House Chair, we are not looking back. We are steaming ahead to build a better life for all our people. House Chair, as I conclude, I want to once again thank you for giving me the opportunity to participate in this debate. Honorable President Makwala. Makwala. akhensa inkomo.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President.